Do you ever think to yourself, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing with my life?
Well, we don't either, but we've learned some things along the way that have gotten us a little bit closer to being functioning adults.
Or at least we've learned to fake it well enough.
Welcome to Insert Verb Here, your friendly neighborhood advice podcast by two girls who are just as clueless as you are.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Haley. And we are Verb.
All right, so today is you can probably tell by the title, but we are talking about COVID and Corona. And I know things are subject to change. Things are changing really quickly, moving really quickly. We are recording this July 8th. So this is what the current state and how we kind of view things right now on July 8th. Obviously, things can change very fast. Very, very fast. So
as
if
right
that
now,
changes by the time this comes out and towards the end of July, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, but I do feel like we're not talking today. The things we want to talk about aren't too specific about a mask order or quarantine or whatever it is. I feel like it's more of a general advice.
That we are in Texas.
We are.
And Texas and like some other states are doing worse right now than other states are. So some of the things we are saying may apply to only people in those states. But I think it's still if this does, they're talking about like the second wave in the future. So in the second wave, if it does happen, wear your mask, people. If it does happen, I think these will be good tools to kind of help if that wave and second quarantine does happen, or if in Texas. We are possibly facing that soon. Anyway, let's go.
Are you sure we're not in it already?
I don't know.
That's the real question. Yeah, so I guess to start off the whole conversation, like, we'll just get right into it. There really is no reason to, like, delay this one. So social connections. How do you keep them up, and how do you deal with feeling lonely in a pandemic?
I am living on my own now. At the beginning of quarantine, I was living with a roommate. I moved out in April. Like, she got married, and I'm like, great, you guys, this is y'all's time. I'm out.
Like, peace out.
So
it's like what's the meme of the one dude, and he's like, peace sign, and then he literally like fades out of existence. Like, that was you at the apartment.
So now I'm living on my own. So the first half of quarantine, I was with a roommate, and the second half, I wasn't, and I haven't been ever since. And it's very different living on your own during a quarantine, than with a roommate or significant other or parents or siblings or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think what I have found living on my own is it's very, very important to schedule, quote, dates with your friends, and to be like, hey, let's meet on a FaceTime or Zoom call or whatever Thursday at 6 or whatever. I think that has really helped my morale. And I think also it's okay if they cancel. We're all going through something that's very stressful, very scary, very unknown. So something I've had to learn that since I live alone. So when I do have these like FaceTime dates, I get really excited about them because I'm like, oh, I finally get to talk to my friends. And so when they end up canceling, I've gotten really sad because I'm like, oh, I'm alone. No one likes me. Whatever. But I have to remind myself that they are also going through the same thing I'm going through, and we are handling it different.
Yeah.
So sometimes they may not have the mental capacity to get on a phone call and talk to me and have fun. They're like, I can't. I need to zone out. I need to be by myself. And so allow them to feel like that, and just as long as they reschedule and they don't keep like pushing you off, but I mean, allow them to feel how they're feeling, because you would want them to allow you to feel how you're feeling. I also, another thing that my friends and I did, we played, I wish I could remember the game. It was some online game, and we all got on FaceTime together, or whatever. We all video chatted, and there was 4 of us, and so there was 2 teams, and there was like 2 team leaders, and they could see what the words you were supposed to guess were. I'm doing such a bad job at explaining this. But So all 4 members could see the screen, but only 2 could see the words you're supposed to say. Okay. And so they were trying to give clues to what word you're supposed to say.
Interesting.
And if you said another word that was on the other person's team, they would get the word. It was really fun. So if it was like computer box, and then it would be microphone, and then it would be phone. Like if those are the 3 words that you wanted me to guess, you would be like podcast.
Gotcha.
And like you would try to like give hints for the words.
Like recording.
Yeah. And then I'd be like, how many words is it? And you'd say 3. And I'd have to look through like all 12 words to see what could go into that category. And so it was really fun. But we played that for like 4 hours. Like It was so much fun. And that really lifted my spirits up. But again, I think it's really important to reach out when you can, when you have the mental capacity to. Reach out, respond, but also be fluid and go with the flow. If they are having a bad day, let them have a bad day. Let them know you're still there for them because you would want the same thing. Yeah. It's all very scary right now, so.
Yeah, and, like, I know for me, like, I've said it before, I'm a very extroverted person. But for me, actually, quarantine, I was super, like, not kind of so much going on, it's crazy, I want to shut out the world. I just it wasn't like I wasn't like normally if I'm not having a lot of social interaction it bothers me, but for some reason when I was in quarantine, like I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't feel like I was missing any connections.
Like I adapted really quickly.
Yeah, as well. I adapted very, very quickly. Well, and at that time too, I was still very convinced I was an introvert. I still was like, oh, I'm an introvert. That's just why I'm feeling that way. And so for the entirety of quarantine, I really didn't have that much of a problem. Like I played video games with my friends a lot, so I guess that kind of was but it never was felt like we're doing this because we need to be social right now. It was just kind of a thing that we did. So I wasn't really like I didn't really feel like I was like super going out of my way to connect with people at that time, and especially because with quarantine too, that was right when I had just started working for Verb, and so I was having a lot more meetings, and we were always talking a lot and stuff like that. So I guess just naturally, and I work with all of my friends anyways, and so I was never like I had to go out of my way to set up things with my friends to like interact with them. But I was thinking about it. I realized I'm more extroverted now because before I was kind of in denial of it, so I kind of fought against it a lot of the time. But realizing that, and then also I don't know what it is, but recently, it's like pretty much since quarantine kind of ended, family has become very important to me. And so I'd be interested seeing if we went into a second wave, second quarantine, whatever, like how knowing all this about me post the first quarantine, how that affects my second one. Am I still going to be, I don't work with all my friends anymore. So like with all of them, I don't speak to them all on a daily basis anymore. Is that going to have an effect? We're not really playing video games as much as we used to. Is that gonna have an effect? I care more about family now than I did at the time, and maintaining those connections even on my mind's saying faster basis, but like it just in a shorter period of time, maintaining those more often than I did. I mean, both before and during quarantine. And so I'd be interested to see how these things I know about myself now affect how I acted in second quarantine, considering the first one was relatively easy for me because any time that I needed social interaction, it was kind of just there and I didn't really have to think about it too much. So I was just thinking about that as like you were talking, that's really interesting. But I know a lot of people really did struggle with feeling like isolated from
lots of people
a lot of people did. And so
I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but the suicide rate where we live, I know, and I'm sure in lots of places, but the suicide rate where we went, or where we live, went up quite a bit, especially in the first month. Yeah. Which is really, really sad.
It's very sad.
If you are feeling lonely, reach out to your friends. And again, I know it will, if they need some time to deal with things, it's going to be really hard because you are going to feel rejected or you may feel rejected. You may feel like no one cares. But people care. It's just a rough time for everyone right now. But if you are feeling really lonely and really upset, like, please reach out to anyone. Reach out to us. Yeah. there are hotlines you can use, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with reaching out if you need to. Like, if it gets to that point where you are feeling that lost and that upset, please don't hesitate to reach out to us or to a hotline online. They if you're afraid to talk on the phone, they have them where you can just email or text. Like, they have different options now. So
they also have I know a lot of, with quarantine, a lot of therapists moved to the apps.
Yes.
And so there's the ones where you can literally just text the therapist.
And there are some affordable ones.
There are.
So if
really
it's a money issue, like, don't be. There are some free ones. There's some affordable ones. Just, it's a hard time right now. Recognize it's a hard time for everyone, including yourself, and just try to reach out. And just remember that we all love you.
Yeah, and you are loved, and you're not, as lonely as it can feel, you're not alone. We're all going through the exact same thing right now. We're all trying to deal with what the world is like since the pandemic. You know, it's changing. We're living in a post-COVID world. Well, not really post-COVID, but...
Well, it depends where you are.
It depends where you are.
If you're outside of the United States, yes.
Possibly, most likely. Unless you're Lano, Texas, and you have like 10 people.
Anyway, so I want, kind of going off this, piggybacking, how do you distract or manage the difficult thoughts or reframe the difficult and hard thoughts and scenarios that you can have?
And I guess I feel like this is harder now that we're kind of post-quarantine, and it's kind of this weird in-between of kind of still quarantining and being safe, but also we have to go to work. I feel like, especially for like me in quarantine, it wasn't like, I didn't feel like I had to distract myself as much as I do now. Like, now that it's more like I'm having to go out more because of work and because, you know, grocery shopping, and there's less things in place to be able to quarantine as much, it's something I'm having to be more mindful of now than I did at the time.
Now that things are opening back up.
Personally. For me, obviously, it's just doing what I can, wearing my mask as, you know, much as I possibly can, trying to limit when I go out, trying to limit how many people I'm around at one time. But I feel like for distractions,
from the, like, bad and
I don't know if I figured that part out yet. Especially now, because I feel like we've gotten closer after quarantine, and I feel like you're very aware of all these things, so I get texts from you all the time, so it makes it harder to, like, block it out.
I'm like, look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it. Yeah, I have that problem. Because I'm the kind of person that I want to be in the know of what's going on, because it gives me anxiety to not be in the know. And when I lived with my roommate, she was very much the type of person that letting her know would actually freak her out. So if I saw an update, oftentimes I'd be like, oh my God. Like, as much as I tried to internalize it, sometimes I would kind of be vocal about it. And so she'd be like, oh, what's happening? And I would have to ask, like, do you really want to know, or do you want me to keep it to myself? And so I had to give her the option. But anyway, I think to distract yourself, if you have no energy that day, it's okay to watch TV, scroll on your phone, like,
or even
read a book.
turn your phone off.
Well, just for distractions from what's going on in the world, like, to play that game, like, don't feel guilty about it. If you do have more energy, you know, try making a to-do list or knocking out a couple of things on the to-do list. Find hobbies. There's so many online courses now.
Yes.
If you're able to, if it's safe for you to, try volunteering if it's safe. One of the things I've been trying to do is learn a new language. I also bought a ukulele, as y'all know. So I've been teaching myself the ukulele, and I'm starting to try to learn a new language.
Me too.
So there are many things to help distract yourself in a beneficial way to where you're still learning stuff and you're still working on yourself. Yeah. But you're not sitting and idling and obsessing over what's happening. And as far as, like, reframing your thoughts go, try to not focus on the negative thoughts, which I know is really, really hard. It's so easy to focus on the negative, but try to focus on the positive. And that way you can, when you focus on the positive, you can take care of not only yourself, but you can take care of others. And you'll be able to be open when they have issues and problems and questions and concerns, because you won't be weighed down by your negative thoughts. So you'll be open and be a better light for them to help them out. Yeah. And then keep challenging those negative thoughts like, you can hear them, but challenge them. Try to challenge them with positivity. And just anytime this question, a negative question comes of like, oh my gosh, why can't this stop? I'm just so annoyed. I want things to be open. I want to go back to normal. Try to reframe that and challenge that thought of, yes, times are really hard and this is annoying, but I know this is for the safety of everyone else. This is safety for me, my family members, and eventually, soon, hopefully, it will go back to normal. So just try to challenge those thoughts and spin it in a positive way, to where you're still feeling valid in those emotions, but it's more positive and constructive.
I agree. Yeah, that's a really good point of just kind of reframing your mindset with that, and just, because I know I'm very guilty of catastrophizing my problems, and so making them way bigger than they actually are, even though this is obviously a big deal, but then I catastrophize it and make it like 8,000 times bigger, which is not healthy for anybody. And so it's kind of just like, I agree with you, just reframing your mindset, kind of trying to put, because that's something that just, not even just for this, just in general, works for me, is I've been really trying to put my problems into perspective, and finding ways to put anything I'm going through into perspective, especially like, not even just like outward problems, but like inner things with my mental illness. That's kind of how I deal with my body dysmorphia a lot, is I have to find ways to put it into perspective for myself. And then it's like, oh, this isn't as bad as I feel like it is. Because we like to blow things up internally. I mean, I know I do. And so it can be it's putting things into perspective can, I mean, for me, really helped, because it really shows me that, like, I'm building this up in my head, as scary as it is, and it is a big problem. I'm building it up more in my head, which is then causing this chain reaction of other problems, where it's, if I can just bring it back down to what the actual, weight of it, the facts of the matter, the weight of it is, then I can go from there, and I can, do what I need to do to either help myself, to stay safe, to help other people, like you said, so I just think mindfulness, reframing your mind to more positive, and then just putting it into perspective.
And allow those distractions. Like, don't feel guilty for being on your phone. Maybe don't do that all day, every day forever. But when you are feeling the lighter moments and like, hey, I can take on the world, try and be productive. And I have also found that being productive, cleaning your house, doing these online courses, learning the language, learning a new instrument, can keep inspiring you and giving you confidence, to where the days where you kind of want to sit idly by, they're still there, but they're not as often.
I agree.
So you keep growing.
I mean, going off of that, because you were saying, like, learning a language, cleaning, whatever it is, for me, not just for quarantine, but just kind of for the past 10-ish months-ish, something that I found just in mental health in general, but I think it's really true for quarantine as well, taking care of your health has helped me on the days that I want to just sit around and do nothing.
Like your physical health?
Yes. Taking care of my physical health and making that something that I'm working on, I feel less guilty when I do sit around all day and do nothing, because I feel like, because I've said it in the past, I was guys, I've worked for myself for a while, but I didn't really have a lot set in place for like a routine. So I spent a lot of my time kind of just sitting around, like watching TV, not really sure what to do, but I would feel, and I was kind of just in like this creative rut where I couldn't get anything done. And so I for a long time, I felt really guilty about that. And so then I turned that energy, that guilty energy, and I pushed it the little bit that I had, and I pushed that towards focusing on my health, focusing on my workout, like working out more, eating better, focusing on my skin and my hair, and just kind of overall health. And by doing that, even though I was still in that creative rut, I felt better sitting around not doing anything, because I still felt like I was being productive and doing something to better myself. Even if something as little as making sure I wash my face every single day, because I definitely started small and then worked my way up, because it's unrealistic. As much as we want to like jump all in, it's very unrealistic, and that doesn't help you to stick to
one of my issues for me, like taking care of myself physically, now that things are still shut down, or now that or if they're not shut down, things are reopening, but you're afraid to go out. Like, I know for us, we've said it earlier in the podcast, but things are starting to shut back down now because Texas is getting really bad. So, like, the apartment I live at, the gym just closed again.
Oh, it did?
So when you're like, oh, I want to go to the gym, but oh man, it just closed. Like it keeps happening. Like, how am I supposed to work out? And so then you lose motivation, or it was like the time you're like, oh, today would have been the day I was going to go work out. And now I can't. And, oh my gosh, what are the chances?
But,
so,
I mean, but you still can.
Yeah, I have definitely found, so I'm going to plug a thing right now because it's really important to me and it's close to my heart.
Is it Amanda?
It's Amanda. So Amanda Cloots, I don't know if y'all have or have not heard of her. Her husband, Nick Cordero, was a Broadway actor. He was in Waitress. He was in A Bronx Tale. He was in a show in LA.
Is he in Rock of Ages?
Yeah, in LA. He in March got COVID and was sent to the ICU and quickly fell into a coma, and had a bunch of complications with it. He had to get his leg amputated. He had to get a pacemaker. He was on a ventilator, and once the COVID left his body, he was still getting these infections. Anyway, after 95 days, he passed away in the ICU on July 5th, a couple days ago. Yeah. And Amanda would go live almost every day and share her incredible, incredible positivity and love and joy for life. And
because I wasn't really keeping up with it like you were, but from the bits and pieces I saw, she was she's positive.
A true light.
I mean, and even with everything that was going on in her life.
Her and Nick had a 1-year-old baby he turned 1 in June. So he was like 9 months old, 10 months old when Nick went to the ICU. And Amanda then had to become a single mom, and she was still just a rock star being a single mom with her husband in the ICU, was trying to... My point is, she has a subscription series. If you go to amandacloots.com, and it's only $10 a month. And she has arm workouts, leg workouts, abs, full body. She has jump ropes workouts. If you're pregnant, she has pregnancy workouts. She has low cardio, low impact. She has everything. And I think it's really important. It is $10 a month, so that is really cheap as far as like workouts and subscription series go.
Yeah.
And one of the things she would say a lot when Nick was in the ICU is, I have a working abled body. Why should I not use it to work out? Like, my husband can't do this right now. He just lost his leg. That inspires me that right now I'm healthy. I have the means to work out. I should. And just through everything, she has every right in the world to be sad and mad and just like angry and want to curl up in a ball and do nothing. And she's still, to this day, her husband passed away a couple days ago, she's still posting positivity and love and light on her Instagram.
The day after he passed, she's still, because she was live streaming every single day.
Every day at 3 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, while he was in the ICU. And
he has a song called Live Your Life that she would sing with everyone on live every day.
Yeah, and the day after he passed away, she was still on at 3 and singing.
Thanking everyone for their support and their love. And I was like, you are just...
like...
you're phenomenal, just a true inspiration, a true superhero. I could
not do it. I could not.
Never blamed, never played the victim, she's just... Anyway, I'm going to plug her. If you have the means to, please go check out amandacloots.com, her subscription series, $10 a month. I did it a couple days ago, and it kicked my butt. I did it 2 days ago. I'm still sore. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. But there are also, if that's still too much for you, which I've been there, that totally makes sense. There are free YouTube workouts.
Has tons.
Yeah, that are a whole array of what you want.
Chloe Ting just got super popular for hers. Mad Fit's really good. Sarah's Day. There's so many people.
There are really good other YouTubes. But I also, if you don't want to work out, I think going outside is really important. Even if you're not an outside kind of person.
Going outside safely.
Going outside safely if that's an option for you. Because the sun and being outside in nature, if you can leave, does really help. Not saying you have to go out and camp, but like go outside for like a 10-minute stroll.
Yeah.
Like just being outside, get some fresh air, get out of the house. If you don't want, even if you don't want to leave, like challenge yourself to get out. I think that really helps. And just keep challenging, keep pushing yourself for your physical health. But yes, there are, if the $10, there are free YouTube.
Free YouTube. We like YouTube. We're on YouTube.
We are on YouTube.
Yeah. You might be listening to this on YouTube. Possibly. Wow. Wear your damn mask.
Yeah, guys. Okay.
Door's about to go off.
I have one thing to say. I have a few things to say. Please wear a mask when you're out in public. I know it might be uncomfortable for you, and I know you may think it's unnecessary, but at this point in time, it is one of the kindest things you can do. Like I said already, Amanda recently lost her husband. He was 41, completely healthy, no pre-existing conditions, a Broadway performer, so his lungs were good. He was healthy.
Yeah.
And he passed away from this. And he was young. Like, you never know how it's going to affect someone and impact their lives. You don't want to be the person that was, like, potentially asymptomatic and gave
it to someone else.
Yeah, or, like, you were exposed and you didn't know at the time. So you were just going on with life not wearing a mask. And then a couple days later, a week later, or whatever, you find out you were exposed. And you're like, gosh, I've been to 8 different places. Who have I then exposed to me? You just never know. And also, it's very important, please keep washing your hands. If things seem like they're going back to normal where you live, that's great, that's wonderful. We'll still listen to what the precautions and everything that they're saying, but keep washing your hands and using hand sanitizer. What's the harm? Yeah,
well, because that's what I was going to say. Like, so many people right now are against mask, and I get it. They're uncomfortable. Like, we
don't wear masks on the daily for a reason.
No.
But we're in a global pandemic.
And
respect
it's like, really,
one another.
it's like, other than being uncomfortable, what is the harm? Like,
and if you're one of those people where they're like, oh, well, masks give me an anxiety attack, a panic attack, I respect that.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you not to leave your house because that's kind of rude, but, like, don't leave your house.
Yeah.
Because the internet is a thing and you can get everything delivered to your house. But also they have those new face shield masks.
Yeah, they do.
So if you can't wear a mask over your nose and mouth, which I understand. I've never been able to wear a Halloween mask because I've never been able to breathe with something covering my nose. But when we started, when this hit, I was like, I don't have another option. I have to wear that. So I was able to get over it. But if you're one of those people who feel like they can't get over it, they have the new face shield masks.
Yeah.
I suggest looking into it and investing in some.
I agree.
I don't want your significant other to be the next Nick. Or you to be like someone you love, and you don't want to be the person that passes it on to someone. Like, I don't want to guilt you, but, like, think about the guilt that you would have for the rest of your life knowing that you were the one who gave someone that.
Yeah, and do your best to social distance as much as possible. Obviously, there's situations like work where that's kind of difficult, but especially, like, hanging out with large groups of people. Like, someone who knows someone that they had a family birthday party and 18 people ended up contracting COVID because of it.
And 3 of them were in the hospital.
So, you just never...
From, like, a backyard barbecue kind of thing.
Yeah.
So just be really, really careful, guys. Respect one another. If you see someone who doesn't want to wear a mask, don't bully them.
I would say keep your distance.
Yeah, keep your distance. But, I mean, I know times are really heightened right now, but just because you don't agree and I think it's wrong, don't be mean to them. Just politely ask, and if they say no, be like, I hate to say leave it, but...
I know, but it's just that's the thing. It's a weird time we're living in where things that we would normally do, we can't really do. And so...
And this will all pass eventually.
It will. We
just have to listen to what... Even if you don't believe in COVID and, like, think, oh, it's just like the flu, respect others that think it is a little more. Yeah. And respect others that have been personally impacted by this. Because you never... And again, like, if you're like, oh, well, no one in my family is... is at high risk. Great, but you don't know who else in your life is at high risk. I have multiple high risk people in my life.
I do too.
And
then you also don't know if you're in public. You don't know who's high risk in public.
So just, even if you personally don't believe it, that's great. But respect that others do and take the necessary precautions.
Well, and like thinking about it from like it's just like the flu. We have things, once you get the flu, we have steps you can take to get over the flu. We don't have that right now.
We will one day.
We will one day.
Right now.
There was definitely a point with the flu. I don't know when it was.
Early
where
in
it was
1900s.
where it was the same thing where people contracted it. We didn't have, treatments. We didn't have a vaccine. We didn't have whatever it is to treat them for it. We didn't have that. They didn't have it. There was a point where it was like that, and many people.
And guess what? They all had to wear masks.
Probably.
And look, it ended, and then we didn't have to wear masks. So it's only us wearing masks for a small amount of time in the grand scheme of things. Please just wear one. If you need one, my mom makes them. I will send them and ship them to you personally. And we will even pick out...
Can we make verb masks?
We can make verb masks.
I'm honestly...
Can make verb masks.
We'll make verb masks.
My mom makes them. Just pick what fabric you want. She will make it. I will ship it to you.
Yeah.
I promise you. Just let us know.
Yeah.
And again, this is filmed beginning of July. Things are all subject to change.
Yeah. I mean,
because I would imagine we should all be wearing a mask by the time this podcast comes out.
And right now in July, we have a mask order.
Yes, a mask mandate.
They're not letting people into places if you're not wearing a mask.
So if you want you want a cute one, if you want a verb one, let us know.
Yeah. We might already have them out, considering whenever this goes out. But who knows?
Who knows? Love you guys. Stay safe.
Go
wash your hands.
On our Instagram to find out if we have masks or not.
Stay safe. Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Love each other. Respect each other. And be nice to one another.
Absolutely.
Make sure you check us out on social media at verb.go and send us your questions at askivhpod@gmail.com.
We post new podcast episodes every Monday, so subscribe to Insert Verb here so you can insert verb into your daily routine.